Alright, time for a little bit of a different video. I'm going to be talking about the 11.4 jungle changes and what I think the impact will be, what like meta changes, different type of champions that will rise to the top a little bit better, all that type of stuff. So I'll be going into that in this video. First off, let's just start with the jungle camp changes, what is actually getting changed. So you see some XP nerfs on Gromp, which are fairly significant. You see gold nerfs here as well, which aren't as impactful. The XP nerf here is the most important thing. Gold nerfs, you'll feel those a little bit. But generally, the XP nerfs are the most important thing here. So there's like 20 XP off Gromp. It's rough numbers. Like 10 XP, 15 XP off of Krug here. In the early levels as well as the later levels. So all of this kind of means that if you're playing a champion that clears a little bit slower, doesn't have perfect efficiency, then this will actually hurt quite a bit because you're going to have significantly less XP the longer the game goes on. And that is also what I want to like say is that if you have those perfectly fast clearing champions, like insanely fast clearing champions like Mundo, for example, they will not really feel this. This is not going to impact those types of champions as much. It is mostly going to impact the champions that will struggle a little bit more with the clear. Can't finish your clear at 315. If you're not able to finish your clear at 315 and be at scuttle exactly right there and then with a full clear done, you're going to hurt in this new patch. You're going to feel the difference. You're going to notice an impact. And yeah, so I made a little bit of a graphic thing here. If I've missed one or two junglers, I'm sorry, but this is pretty much everyone I could really think of and find. So as you can see, we have the fast clearing junglers, for example, with Mundo here. He has a full clear that is like 305 or something like that. That's fast enough to get the full clear done. B level 4 with Mundo, you can also get a back off because Mundo's jungle clear is Raptor Start, Red Buff, Krugs, Recall, buy an item, and move up. This, by the way, is a little bit impacted because you will have less gold off of those 3 camps, so you might not be able to buy like the door and shield you could potentially buy beforehand. You might have enough for like a different item, depending on the runes you go. If you go Futures Market, all of this is fixed, and that's also a rune I want to talk about. Futures Market does fix a lot of the gold nerfs that are implemented here, because you're still going to be able to buy the same power spikes. And I'll just take Evelyn, for example, right? Evelyn runs a page with Electrocute, and then you go secondary inspiration, or you can go for the sorcery tree for like Nimbus Cloak and everything like that. Personally, I play Evelyn with, like, at the moment with Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight. I will most definitely be changing that this patch to Magical Footwear alongside the Futures Market, because every single gold spike I lose with the jungle nerfs here are going to be fixed by just getting Futures Market. On my first back, I'll be able to buy a Hextech Alternator, which is the item that's part of like Rocket Belt and Harvester. It's 1050 gold, and with a full clear plus scuttle, you can reset and with Futures Market still buy that item. If you aren't able to get a scuttle with Futures Market, you can also still buy like components of it. You can buy Dark Seal if you're like Dark Seal M.2, if your clear isn't good or you get invaded. There's a lot of situations where Futures Market actually helps you with significant purchases. And there's a lot of different champions on this list that would be able to utilize that rune to its fullest potential as well. But yeah, if you look at these 3 categories we have here, we have fast, tank, and I call it struggle. I mainly call it struggle because these champions are going to struggle more than the fast or tank junglers. You might wonder also, why is Lilia in the tank jungler section? I put her there because this is a tank utility section. I only put a tank because it saves me some space here. But look at this as a tank utility section. So the Lilia here with a Moonstone, Moonstaff type of build is going to be very good utility-wise. Otherwise, her clear speed isn't good enough, so she will kind of struggle a little bit. So you can kind of put her towards that if you want to go more of a damage Lilia section. But yeah, fast clear here. Anything fast is, I categorized as fast, can clear the jungle full clear within 315. That is anything fast. And all of these champions will be able to do something like that without the leash. With a leash, this is much easier to do. like if you get a leash from your bot lane, from your top lane, doesn't, just any leash will save you seconds. But if your champion is able to full clear, whether it be gimmick mechanics or different type of perfection clears, these champions will be able to do it, guaranteed to full clear at 315 and be at scuttle. That is a very big thing for this patch. If you can full clear at 315 and be at the scuttle when it spawns, it's going to have massive impact. If you're playing, for example, a fast type of jungler against let's say a tank type of jungler, right? Most of the tanks, some exceptions like a Mumu might be able to reach the same clear speed potentially, but let's just say most of these champions will not be able to reach that. Jungle clear they might look for is like a 5 camp instead of a 6 camp clear, right? They might skip Krugs and run to scuttle. Problem with that is you'll be a complete level down on the champion that's right here in the fast section, because they will have level 4 and be on scuttle. So the only way you'll be able to ever win that 1v1 situation against any of the champions in the fast section is if you have lane advantage. And your lane advantage has to be quite significant to actually make up for like not getting deleted by a level advantage, really, if you guys understand what I mean. So that's a really big difference between fast and tank. That, like the fast section, these champions will not really feel this change because they can consistently keep up with the jungle pace. They can just clear it so fast that you'll still have room to gank. You do not want to be AFK farming right now. If you AFK farm now, and like from this patch onwards, if you AFK farm, you're just fucked. Like there's nothing you can do. You'll fall behind, you'll not be as strong, so you definitely need to have like some jungle tempo balancing. So you need to clear, gank, clear, gank, clear, gank, and do it fast and like take objectives, all that type of stuff. So that's the fast really here. So like it's not in order here, but Udyr and Dr. Mundo will have the fastest clears of this, matched by like Karthus. Fiddlesticks has a pretty good one as well. But generally anything before 315 finish, and this can include a leash as well later on. It's only going to be faster, so it's only going to be better. But yeah, then we have the tanks. The tank section here is going to be very valuable as well. I think these champions are going to rise to like the top of the meta as well currently, because most of these champions will have a core item build that's going to be 1 or 2 items. So very like low cost power spike builds. So for example, let's just take Skarner. You have a build on Skarner where if you complete your camp tank, which is a fairly cheap item, you're going to be having a massive amount of team fight impact already. You go phase rush Skarner with camp tank, you run up to somebody with camp tank, drag him all the way back into your team with phase rush, and that's just a perfect pick off, right? And the only item you will need for that, the only thing you'll need for that is level 6, which isn't too hard to get. Your jungle clear isn't as fast, but it will still grant you level 6 fairly consistently and fairly quickly. The scaling of it's going to be a little bit more difficult because of your jungle clear speed, but yeah, all that aside, you just need to have your ultimate and you need to have camp tank, which is a fairly cheap item, and the gold value on that's fairly low. So champions like this, that Skarner, Nunu has a similar example. You can just spam gank and he needs like 1 or 2 items to be very strong as well in team fights. Think of champs like that, which are mostly listed here already. They will have big impact because you need less XP and you need less gold. So it's nerfed, but you won't really feel it. So these champions are going to be better. And then you have the champions here as well that kind of struggle, because a lot of these champions that I put in the struggle list either don't have the clear speed to match like the 315, because if you can't match a level 4 on scuttle at 315, you will lose that scuttle. You can of course give up the other scuttle, or like you can maybe get the other scuttle by giving up certain pathing or certain jungle clears, but you're going to be falling behind on the fast clears. So struggle, like you don't really have anything there, and you're going to be less effective because you have less experience and gold than champions in the tank list would be. So let's say you have the similar amount of levels and gold as a Skarner, you're going to be both 6 with a mythic. Let's just say that, right? Skarner is going to have way more impact on level 6 with just 1 mythic item than, I don't know, Jax would, for example, or just anyone in this list really, because Skarner's like kit kind of spikes at those types of scenarios, if you know what I mean. So that's really the big difference here. Most of these struggle champions also just like they have full clears at like between 320 and 330, generally speaking. Grom did get a little bit more HP, so that might cost some champions a couple of seconds, like 1 or 2. But overall, if you can't match the being on Scuttle at 315, these types of champions, you will be falling behind. A lot of these champions also need extra items, like just overall extra levels, extra items to be able to hard carry. Of course, if you get ganks off, if you get ahead, then it doesn't really make a big difference, right? But generally speaking, if you're talking consistency and just general game state, then that's the way it's going to be. I've put Zac, Vi, and Lee Sin between tank and struggle because Zac is a champion that scales really well off of levels. Getting level 9 really fast on Zac helps you a lot with your E range. So he's a good tank, but he does require you to have XP, and he does require you to have a bit of gold to actually be effective. Vi, I put between tank and struggle because a damaged Vi will struggle more. I'm not saying struggle is bad or anything. All these champions can do fine in games. They're just going to have a bigger difficulty in actually winning the games than they used to in patch 11.3. But Vi is able to go for utility tank. You can build her as a very tanky bruiser champion that just has like good teamfight engages and all that type of stuff. So I kind of put her in between. And Lee Sin for the similar thing with Vi as well. You can have that like tanky Lee Sin build that will just mainly go for the engages as well in there. I also, within the struggle, I put the early game junglers, the early game gankers. So Rek'Sai, Elise, just anything like very early game that isn't a tank. They will have coin flip games, basically. If you can get your ganks off on these champions and consistently get the ganks off, you're going to be fine. However, if your ganks fail, you will just lose the game straight away. If you're playing, for example, a Rek'Sai into like a Hecarim, for example, if you get your ganks off as Rek'Sai and you get your lanes ahead without the Hecarim being able to impact them yet, or you just get those early game ganks off consistently, then you're going to be ahead. But the moment one or two ganks fail and Hecarim picks up the pace, he's going to be at Scuttle, at the next Scuttle, at the like level 2, 3, 4, 5 level leads still, because his clear speed's fast enough to where you won't really feel the nerfs as much. You're just going to have a problem, right? So early game gankers are going to be okay. Like they're like, it's basically a coin flip. It's a 50-50. You can get ahead, your ganks can work, you can get very far ahead and win, or your ganks can fail and you just lose. So yeah, that's really the graphic here. The general idea I want you guys to take away from this is that anything with a faster clear speed than 315 and being able to be at Scuttle, like right there and then, on level 4, those champions are not going to feel this. Otherwise, this meta is going to shift towards more tank, like heavy tank utility type of champions. Theirs are going to be a lot better, as you can see in the tank section here. Like you have your Amumu, Ivern, Lilia, like Lilia with Moonstone build, or Moonstaff build, whatever. Just supportive utility type of setup. Very effective champions on like lower XP with lower item requirements, but they're still going to be highly effective in team fights. Those champions are going to be better, like much better now because of the changes, because you get less XP, less gold from your camps now. And then the champions with the struggle are still going to be good if you can get a lead. Some of the champions might have a 315 clear match. Like if you perfectly do your entire jungle clear on Rengar, for example, you can get the Scuttle at 315. It is possible. It is not easy, but it's possible. Some of those in this list might have the similar clear on that one as well, but I didn't want to put them too fast because it's not as easy as it would be with, for example, an Evelynn. You can easily consistently get 315s and not really like have to do some perfect pathing mechanics type of stuff, you know. Yeah. So that's really the changes that's going to be impacted here. You're going to see a shift in those fast junglers that will just have like still high impact, still all that type of stuff. You see more tanks arise, and then you see the struggle champions kind of get a little bit left behind. You know, the meta is going to shift away from them. They're going to need more items, more XP to carry, generally speaking, and you're just going to be in pain, in a lot of pain. Either way, that's been it for this video. I hope you guys like have enjoyed it, have learned from this, have like seen like overall the champs that will have impact in different scenarios, kind of understand the impact a little bit more. And yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit the thumbs up button below. This does help me out quite a bit. If you'd like to see more videos from me in the future, hit the subscribe button as well, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.